Hey, welcome to Life After Nursing School. I'm your host, Caroline Dana, aka Nurse Coach Caroline, and I'm here to help you, the new nurse, thrive in your career. As a former nurse recruiter, nurse manager, and now your personal new nurse career coach, I'm obsessed with making sure you don't just survive your first couple of years at the bedside. I want you to absolutely rock them. From the challenges to the triumphs, I'll be right here with you, giving you the real-world advice and support that you need to shine. Whether you're in nursing school getting ready for life after, or you're already out there in nurse life feeling overwhelmed or even questioning your confidence, I've got your back. I'll be sharing tips, tricks, resources, and strategies that are just for you. We'll dive into everything from landing that dream nursing job to slaying imposter syndrome, and most importantly, how to keep that spark alive and stay the vibrant and amazing nurse that you are. So if you're ready to tackle the things nursing school did not cover, like how to build a career, trust yourself, and keep your passion strong, then get comfortable because we are about to dive in and make nurse life the best life. Hey, today's episode is going to be a little different. It recently hit me that I've been releasing weekly podcast episodes for 6 months now, and some of you might be wondering, who is this host anyway? If you've been listening regularly, you've probably picked up on bits and pieces about me along the way, but if you're anything like me, you love hearing people's full stories, what they love, what they can't stand, and what truly lights them up. And if that's not your thing, no worries at all. If you're not in the mood for a more personal episode, feel free to skip this one and I'll catch you on the next episode. So I want to use this episode to share about me and give you a peek into my wild brain and chaotic life. Let's start with some of the basics. I am 35 years young. I was actually born in Washington, D.C., and around the age of 5, my family moved to Connecticut. And we did this to be closer to my mom's family in Connecticut and also my dad's family in Massachusetts. I've been residing in Connecticut ever since. I went to nursing school at Salve Regina University in Newport, Rhode Island, and it was the best 4 years of my life. Please don't tell my children. Yes, nursing school was really hard to get through, but I met some of my closest friends. Newport is such a great New England city, and it's a shoreline spot, and it's absolutely gorgeous and will always be one of my absolute favorite places to go. If you've never been, I highly recommend that you go. I am married to the hardest working man around. My husband's name is Brian, and yes, that is spelt with a Y, okay? And this comes up often. He is a full-time physician assistant and works in orthopedics. We are very different in many ways. For one, he doesn't love change like I do. For example, he accepted a job in a private practice orthopedic group right out of PA school, and he has been with that group ever since. Me, on the other hand, I've changed jobs, changed directions, and even aspirations multiple times throughout my career. He is also more introverted and shy, where I am quite the opposite. He's also type A and very logical, where I am just not very type A, and I lead more emotionally than logically. In addition to being a physician assistant, he is a very dedicated military member in the Air Force, and he is proud to hold the rank of lieutenant colonel. We actually met in 2010 at the hospital when I was a patient care technician in nursing school, and he was a relatively new PA. He is 6 years older than me, so there is an age gap. However, I often say that I am more of an old lady than he is an old man. It's a very comical and dramatic love story that I may share on an upcoming podcast episode, maybe in the fall near our 10-year anniversary. We'll see. Let me know if that's something you'd want to hear. Bri and I have 3 kids together. At the time of this recording, our kids are enjoying their summer. Actually, right now, they are singing karaoke right outside of the room that I'm podcasting in. Our oldest is Kennedy. She's 8 years old, and she is so incredibly kind, sweet, and responsible. I know God gave me her because he knew I would need all the help and grace I could get when navigating motherhood for the first time. Our middle child is our only son, and his name is Nathan. He goes by Nate. He is currently 7 years old and he is high energy and as goofy and silly as they come, but also surprisingly very hardworking. He will hyper focus on things until the job is done. He's also very creative, loves to draw and build with Legos, and oh, yeah, he loves money. He already has over $300 in a bank account, while his sisters don't even have two pennies to rub together. And then there's Collins. Oh, Collins. She just turned 4 years old and she runs the show. She's very spirited. She calls the shots and she's much wiser than her age. Oftentimes, she's reminding the rest of us that we have a schedule to stick to and we need to get things done. I also say she is the cherry on top for our family and adds just so much color and laughter to our everyday life. She is well into her I can do it independent phase and absolutely loves animals and Barbies. So, as you can see, I am in the thick of motherhood in my day to day life. I am packing lunches. I am on a laundry hamster wheel. I'm kissing boo boos and I'm going on adventures. I fit my business, including this podcast, around all of those things. I used to think to myself, man, if I just started my business journey before having kids, I would have had so much more time to pour into it. And because of that extra time and energy, I would probably be 10 steps ahead of where I am now. But I will say recently, I realized that actually would not be the case at all. Instead, if I didn't have kids right now, I would have spent the time buying into societal norms like climbing the nursing career ladder. I would have continued to be the workaholic that I was prior to kids, and I would have been stuck in my cycle of limiting beliefs. Having children was a wild wake-up call in my life. Having children has taught me that I need to get back to me, what I truly want in life and what I love to do. When I worked full-time as a nurse manager and had kids in daycare for very long days, it was obvious to me that something was missing in my life. I was not feeling fulfilled. I began questioning everything that I had once believed in. Do I really want to work Monday through Friday, long hours as a nurse manager with calls coming in during off hours and vacations? No, I wanted to put my family first. So I began to question everything. Having children was the perfect disruption in my life that made me see the bigger picture and break free from traditional thought patterns that we are really told to believe, like working until retirement or climbing the ranks in a traditional job, especially if it's one that doesn't make you feel truly fulfilled. So my children have taught me so much in my life, and I wouldn't be on this current unique career path right now without them. And I will say, I honestly feel the most aligned, the most alive, and the most at peace than ever before with my current day-to-day life. And that includes my personal life and my professional life. Okay, so enough about my little loves. I also want to share that I am an Aries. So yes, I am very headstrong. I'm an Enneagram 3, which also makes me an overachiever, and I am Irish. So I love deeply, and I have the Irish gift of gab. Every report card that I've ever gotten has said, good student, but talks too much. I also leave get-togethers with a very minimal goodbye or no goodbye at all. And that is actually typical for Irish and called the Irish goodbye. I would consider myself an extroverted introvert. I can talk to anyone. I am happy to engage at functions, but I also need time to decompress after. And I need that downtime. I've always considered myself as solely an extrovert, but I've realized in the past few years that every plan that comes my way, I low-key dread until I'm there usually, and then I'm fine. I actually have a lot of fun at these plans or functions, and I'm also then equally as happy to spend the next day or two post-function just recharging. I also really truly prefer a small group of close friends over a large group of acquaintances any day. Something else that you may not know about me, my husband and I actually have 2 Airbnb properties, and while they do require work to be done, Making money in a way that does not require you to pick up an extra shift or work yourself to death is an incredible experience. Back in 2020, during the pandemic, my husband was deployed with the military and I was still working full time in the ER as an assistant nurse manager, and then also transitioned to the role of a nurse manager of a different, actually a COVID and med surge behavioral health unit. So during this time, we were actually surprisingly saving a lot of money. And as you know, restaurants were closed, stores were closed. There really was nowhere to go and nothing to do. We weren't spending as much money because, again, we weren't going anywhere. So during this time, we were able to save a decent amount of money. And my husband and I initially thought that we were going to put in a pool for the kids. And of course, we told them that, which was silly and totally do not recommend. But there was something that just didn't sit right with me about putting in a pool. For some reason, I just couldn't commit to it. And then my wheels started turning. Is there a better way to utilize the savings? It felt like a unique opportunity to be able to save a decent amount of money in a short amount of time. And that is when I stumbled on real estate investing and being an Airbnb host. So we actually took the leap of faith and we bought a small property in Newport, Rhode Island, and it's been a gem. It's obviously a way better investment than a pool from a financial standpoint. Well, unless you ask our kids, it's still a touchy topic in our house. So if you can find a way to make your money work for you, it's such a freeing feeling because you feel way more in control of your career rather than at the mercy of it. I have learned so much about myself in my 30s. I recognize that most of the listeners that tune into this podcast are likely in their early 20s. So if that is you, please know that your 30s bring so much clarity and wisdom to your life. I was diagnosed with ADHD in my 30s. I learned how to set effective boundaries in my 30s, and I made huge career pivots, like starting a business in my 30s. Things that matter in your 20s will not matter in your 30s. There's not as much FOMO, there is not as much people pleasing, and you start to question things that you've been told to believe your entire life. But that's also when you start to really get to know who you are and be real with yourself. You get clear on things that make you happy, the things that drain your energy, and the things that light you up. I have found that exercise is a great way for me to recharge, as backwards as that sounds. At the end of a workout, I feel lighter, I feel happier, and I love a good long run or a hard speed workout. And yes, I'm one of those crazy people that enjoy running, but it's something I've always loved. My husband signed us up for the Marine Corps Marathon in October, so we are starting to train for that. And I also enjoy riding my Peloton bike and getting about 1 to 2 strength workouts in a week. And typically I do all those workouts in my home basement. I also love to read a good book. I typically read rom-coms and personal growth books, which I know is a weird mix, but I love them both equally. I got into reading again when my 2 oldest kids were toddlers, which was a few years ago. When they wanted to watch the movie Frozen for the 600th time, I would snuggle them, but I would crack open a book. I have found it was a great mental break from reality and allows me to decompress and truly relax. Lately, I have been reading rom-coms by Abby Jimenez. Those books literally make me laugh. And a business book that I recently read and loved is 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. I also absolutely love to listen to podcasts. My favorite is the Gold Digger Podcast by Jenna Kutcher, which is all about building a business you love. I also recently have been enjoying the Liz Moody Podcast, which focuses on self-help, wellness, and health, and also the Dream Bigger Podcast, which talks about all things self-help, beauty, business, and wellness. I swear I get through things like laundry, picking up the house, yard work, and even a big pile of dishes by simply putting my earbuds in and tuning into a podcast episode. My love language is words of affirmation and quality time. So naturally, I love a family movie night in our living room, a heartfelt Mother's Day card, a weekend camping with the kids, a walk around the neighborhood, a thoughtful text from my husband or a girlfriend, a weekend away with just my husband, a girls trip, and even a coffee date with a friend or two. I also enjoy trash TV, a juicy docuseries, and a good dance party. I love coffee, especially my morning cup of coffee at 5 a.m. when my kids aren't awake. And I also enjoy a bougie coffee from Starbucks. I am not too proud to admit that. Okay. My summer go to is an iced brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso, and it's so delicious. I have also discovered the power of a 20-minute cat nap, and I love to use my Sundays as a reset day where I prep for the week ahead. Okay, so let's pivot to things that I don't like. Things that drive me absolutely crazy are people that walk slow in public spaces, some of my husband's long winded stories, people that are not authentic, people who lean into the victim mindset, certain adult things like managing my employment benefits, and scheduling appointments. I absolutely hate calling to make a doctor's appointment. I struggle with technology at times, even though I'm a millennial, and often my husband has to come to my rescue many times before my webinars that I have because something's going on with my computer and he fixed it with one simple, click or two. And I am all very grateful for his help in these situations. I'm also completely over winter by mid-January, and I hate flying, and I also hate going to the dentist. Okay, aside from all of my likes and dislikes, I am who I am because of the things that I've been through. I grew up in a middle class household with my sister and loving parents. Money was never a major issue. My parents were happily married, and my childhood was a really good one. I recognize this alone is a privilege, and I feel blessed to have the life that I have. I know I shared this on the show before, but a few years after I became a nurse, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. It was a long 2 years of treatments, setbacks, hope and hopelessness, and a lot of fear. It was emotional torture to watch someone you love so dearly suffer physically and emotionally. I lost my dad on Christmas Eve in 2015. This trauma rocked my world. See, the thing is that my dad was always someone who believed in me wholeheartedly and my potential way more than I ever did. He was my biggest cheerleader and attended every important event in my life, whether it was a cross country meet in another state or my nurse pinning ceremony. He was always there and in the front row, so proud of me. Losing a person like that in your life just leaves you feeling lost. I worked in the ER at the time that I lost my dad, and it was such a tough time for me. I was not the best nurse during this grief period, and honestly, I should have taken some time away from the bedside to just heal, but I didn't even recognize that was what I actually needed. I'm also quite sure that I was only given 3 bereavement days for losing a parent in the facility that I worked at, so taking anything more than that felt illegal to me. Unfortunately, though, I really did need time to feel my feelings, grieve, recharge, and recover. Instead, I continued to work and I lost my compassion for patients, especially the ones that had minor injuries. I had a hard time understanding why some people got to live when others had to die. I felt like I was now left with such a wounded part of my heart while worrying about my mom, my sister, and what this next part of our life without my dad would look like. As a child, I grew up attending church, and up until this point, really did consider myself pretty religious. I believed in God, but after everything with my dad, it really made me question all of my religious beliefs. Now, 10 years later, after a lot of healing and reflection, I do consider myself actually more of a spiritual person than a religious person. While my family, my kids and I, my husband, attend Catholic church somewhat regularly, I don't believe that any one religion has all the answers. Instead, I think each tradition may hold pieces of a greater truth. To me, spirituality is a blend of those pieces, a personal connection to something greater than ourselves. I believe in God, the universe, or higher power, whatever name we choose to give it. These are also simply my personal reflections on faith and spirituality. And I fully respect that everyone has their own path and their own beliefs. I've also had so many things happen since my dad passed away that cannot be considered coincidence or luck. I believe there is more to life than what we see, and the things really do happen for a reason, whether we see that in the moment or maybe it's a lesson that we learn down the road reflecting back on this time. I believe the more that we can connect with who we really are, what we really want in life, the more we can live in alignment and the more connected spiritually we can be. So, yes, I am one of those people that believes in signs, gut feelings, lucky numbers. I think tarot cards are so cool, and I love going to a medium or psychic. And some of the readings that I have had in the past will stay with me forever. I think there is something more to energy, our energies, vibrations, beliefs, and manifestation. And let me tell you, currently my 2025 vision board has been on fire for the year. I've had multiple things come to fruition and it's wild. Maybe I will share that in a future episode. Let me know if it's something you want to hear more about. I don't know where my business or my life is headed, but there is something inside me that gets me out of bed every day and jump into this work. I cannot even describe the innate motivation that I have to help new nurses. I started the online community, which many of you may have heard me talk about on the show, and it's called the New Nurse Society. It started as a place for me to help nursing students and new grad nurses navigate the job search process and prepare for interviews. But since I started it 9 months ago now, almost 10, it has already evolved. I've brought in a dear friend, Julia, who is currently becoming a board certified nurse life coach. She leads monthly connection calls within the community to support new nurses that I've helped land their first job, guiding them through real world challenges they face at work. Together, Julia and I host monthly workshops on topics designed to help new grad nurses grow professionally. Last month, for example, we led a session on rapid response teams and emergency situations. My goal is to continue evolving this community to ensure it provides meaningful support for new nurses across the country. This is also why I started this podcast. I never want new nurses to feel lost or stuck, which are feelings I've experienced at times in my own career. I want you to feel empowered, knowing that your nursing career is just one part of who you are, not your entire identity, and that you are in control of it and not a prisoner to it. So stay tuned because this is just the beginning. I will also share a link in the show notes if you want to check out the New Nurse Society. If there's a topic you'd like to hear covered on the show, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would genuinely love to hear from you. That's what this space is all about, helping each other by sharing knowledge, tips, advice, stories, and wisdom. While some lessons in nursing will inevitably come through personal experience, my goal is to equip you with the tools and insights that make your transition into practice as smooth and supported as possible. That's what I truly feel fulfilled doing. If you've tuned into this episode about me, I hope it helped you feel more connected to who I am and the heart behind my business. I'm so grateful that you took the time to listen, get to know more about me, and I'd also love to know more about you. This isn't a one-way relationship, so please reach out, introduce yourself, and let me know that you're listening to the show. Hearing from listeners is one of the most inspiring parts of this journey for me. So you can find me and message me on Instagram and TikTok at Nurse Coach Caroline, and my email is listed in the show notes. So please, let's connect. All right, friend, enough about me. I appreciate you, and please know we are in this together. And as always, I have one hand for me and the other for you. Signing off. Well, that's it for today's episode of Life After Nursing School. I hope you feel more confident and ready to tackle the challenges that come with starting your nursing career. Remember, the first year or two might not be easy, but with the right mindset, you can overcome anything. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. Also, please consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps so much in reaching other new nurses like you. Thanks for listening, and remember, you've got this. Take care and see you next time.